This is titled Pizzagate Monsters because there's no other way to word it. There's no really, there's not a real template for the type level of offenders, what they're doing to these kids and what they're doing to their legs and feet and how these kids are barely hanging on. I'm reaching out to all of you because I know it's not just in this area; it's all through this region. In fact, the greater tri-state area here in the city of Pittsburgh region, there have been numerous attacks and assaults going on, and probably a lot more that we don't even really know about. And we're just in the middle of a lot of this. What concerns me about these abuse cases is that there's so many that aren't they're not going ignored. I hope you know. We just need an army, and we need a lot of support. And um, in this process, though, you find yourself asking questions like things that are not. We go about our lives day to day thinking like this stuff would quote didn't happen, or there's a level of process that I'm just telling you from firsthand experience what the bus stop is, what happened over on the Amtrak, from really from the time we started listening to the Post on Pizzagate. There were a number of things that were starting to go on. I reported it to the state police about my truck. I mean, number of harassment, assaults, abuse, anything to confuse you is what I think the main objective is, to confuse the victims more. And I know this just having been through enough now. I'm not saying I don't know who those individuals are, so that you know. What happened to me in 1985 is that the Glenmore case opened up a bunch of information that most people didn't know about, and I was concerned because I didn't really know how to word it, and I didn't really understand. A lot of it was blocked out, more or less, if you know what I mean. I had to survive the abuse, and what happened was my dad was in jail at the time, and this offender, rapist, was raping children. He was operating it was called Glenmore Academy at the time. And I'm pretty sure there's a lot of similar characters and similarities in these abuse cases. You probably don't know it. There's a lot of people that are, what I know today, are heavy hitters. And I'm just saying, all this stuff is going on right now, and they're in the middle of a bunch of raids, so that it's not just one or two raids. There's several, thousands and thousands, ever since really the internet has opened us up. At least thankfully we got information, and I want you to know for a fact, and I want to refer to Honeybee, they don't post the photo of the missing children, and you are right on. This was going on in 1985. They traumatized everybody, and they want to re-traumatize the victims, so that when you get to any of these shelter programs where families are frightened that their kids will go missing or assaulted, especially this time of year. So you know what direction we're in. We gave you the personal information, how to regroup at any of those, strip malls, or anyone who has any concerns about it. It's good to communicate and apply some common sense. If you see something, say something. The more you report it to the local police, it's a lot easier to grasp what's going on. What happened is, I met some young folks just here 3 years ago who were raped in LA County. And I'm over here, not very far from the Walmart, right off the exit, not very far. This girl was tied down at 11 years old, and they took turns with her, so that please get in contact with us so that we can regroup, so that they don't run off. These girls were gang raped and sexually abused since they were little girls. And there's a lot of children who've been molested, introduced to a lot of drugs at 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 years old. So I don't know what condition we're going to be in when we meet up. I just want you to know, not very far from the Newcastle exit, right, not that far from Beaver, there's an airport nearby. So just know what to expect from the terrain. If you are one thing, I don't want people running off and doing any search or rescue. Leave it up to law enforcement to do that. There is plenty of trained officers, police officers, and other people that are trained to do that. Don't run off at all. That's the danger a lot of us got ourselves into. Please know this. Stick with a group and do not run off and be a hero. I know this firsthand. I did the same thing. I was 14 years old. I left school and I left J&F Middle School that day. And it involved my sisters. And that was when it changed for me because you know what? I wasn't trying to play the hero, honey. I mean, this was my little sisters, and they're 2 and 4 years old. And what they were doing is, I noticed something was wrong with the diapers, and I immediately left school. And I was already in trouble with the truant officers at J&F Middle School. So it wasn't as if I'm trying to play a hero. I'm trying to tell you, my life and my family's lives have been endangered since this all started. And luckily, my Uncle Izzy, who is not with us anymore, had passed away. I'm probably, I'm just saying that my Uncle Izzy was the one who called the police. Luckily, as soon as I walked up to that mansion, and it's a large mansion, there's 2 of them. And if you pull up the rap sheet, you'll probably get more information about some of the other content that I'm not really familiar with it. Because I don't have access to databases like anyone else. I have to go through, all kinds of like what they call, I believe there's a certain level of security clearance. I'm way beyond that point. I'm way beyond most of you. I've been through mostly all this on my own. I've survived abuse. I've survived assaults. I've been threatened. I've been attacked. I've been threatened to put 2 in my head. I mean, I've been through a lot of abuse. So every time I go through this, I just want you guys to know that, I mean, by the time when Dormont police was contacted, this and again in 1985, he had just George Coynock had just died 2016, so a lot of things are just now coming out in surgery and recovery, and there's a lot of things that probably I don't even remember at what point. I know what happened to me. I can't speak for anyone else. I just know, having walked up those steps, it's not an accident. Nothing to me is an accident. Not my truck is nothing. Everything that I've been through, harassment, and what makes it so desperate. I mean, when I say things or get desperate, when I was checking my sister's diaper and something was wrong that day and I was shaking. And I know, guys, and everyone who's ever had a sick feeling in their stomach, I went to check her diaper and something was seriously wrong. And that was right after my mom and I were in the middle of a spat. And my mom went and left my sisters with the pedo, and not knowing, I'm pretty sure if my mom knew at the time, they didn't have like a lot of the things you have today. And the comments that were made to me by my foster mom and some of the things that you have all said to me, like got milk and making sick jokes, I don't find anything, including what went on in South Side with the Satanic Bible while I was sodomized. I am not going to let you get away with abusing me and taking advantage of me and threatening my life. And I'm going to guarantee this, you're going to bring my truck back and you're going to quit threatening and harassing my family. And we have rights here. And when you start trying to interfere in our family's life, then you brought on an army of people that are sick and tired of children being harassed, threatened, and abused, including the families. And we are tired of being abused. We need your support. They're going to give me my truck back and they're going to quit threatening my family. And I had enough is enough.